Tae-sung wiped the sweat from his forehead and reached deeper into the plasma conduit housing. The hum of the ship's engines vibrated through the metal walls around him. He had been working in the engine room of the Times Harmony's Promise Times for 3 hours straight, and his back was starting to complain. Just one more connection, he muttered to himself, holding his plasma wrench steady. The Galactic Coalition medical vessel was 3 months into its deep space expedition, and the plasma conduits needed constant maintenance. Tae-sung didn't mind the work. As the ship's human engineer, he enjoyed the quiet hum of machinery and the satisfaction of fixing things. Plus, the engine room was one of the few places on the ship where he could drink his coffee in peace without the alien crew members staring at him like he was drinking poison, which, technically, he supposed he was, at least from their perspective. The wrench slipped. A bright flash of blue light erupted from the conduit. Tae-sung yanked his hand back, but not fast enough. The plasma burn seared across his forearm, and he let out a sharp curse in Korean. The smell of burnt skin filled the small space. "Damn it," he hissed, clutching his arm. The burn wasn't terrible. Maybe 2nd degree at worst. He had dealt with worse during his training on Earth, but protocol was protocol, and the ship's safety systems had already detected the plasma discharge. His communicator beeped almost immediately. "Engineer Tae-sung, Medical Bay has been notified of your injury. Please report for treatment immediately." The ship's AI spoke in its usual calm, emotionless tone. Tae-sung sighed. He grabbed his tool bag with his good hand and made his way through the corridors toward the medical bay. Most of the crew was either sleeping or working in their respective stations. He passed a few crew members in the hallway. A tall, reptilian scar gave him a polite nod. One of the smaller, furry Pixen scurried past without looking up. The medical bay doors slid open with a soft hiss. Inside, the lighting was bright and sterile. Medical equipment lined the walls, most of it unfamiliar to Tae-sung. The Coalition had technology far beyond what Earth currently possessed, and their medical science was even more advanced. Dr. Velthari looked up from her workstation. She was an insectoid species called Thren, with 4 thin arms, compound eyes that glittered like black pearls, and a chitinous exoskeleton that gleamed under the lights. Her species was known for their precision and attention to detail, which made them excellent doctors. "Engineer Tae-sung," she said, her voice coming through a translation device on her chest. "I see you have injured yourself." "Just a small burn," Tae-sung said, holding up his arm. "Doctor." Velthari gestured to the examination table with one of her upper arms. "Please sit. I will examine the wound." Tae-sung hopped onto the table. He had been treated by Dr. Velthari a few times before, mostly for minor cuts and bruises. She was professional and efficient, though he sometimes got the feeling she found humans a bit peculiar. To be fair, humans probably were peculiar to most alien species. Dr. Velthari's compound eyes examined his burn closely. One of her lower arms reached for a medical scanner, while another prepared a healing gel. "The burn is not severe," she said. "I will apply a regenerative treatment. However, I must run standard diagnostic scans, as per protocol." "Sure, whatever you need to do," Tae-sung said. A small robotic arm extended from the ceiling, holding a needle. It pricked his finger quickly, drawing a small sample of blood into a clear vial. The vial was immediately transported through a pneumatic tube system to the ship's main medical laboratory. Tae-sung barely noticed. He was used to blood draws. Dr. Velthari worked on his burn, applying the cool healing gel that immediately soothed the pain. The gel was one of the benefits of serving on a coalition ship medical technology that could heal burns in hours instead of weeks. "This will need to be wrapped," Dr. Velthari said, reaching for a bandage. Behind her, a medical terminal suddenly began beeping. Loudly, Dr. Velthari's antennae twitched. She turned toward the terminal, and her entire body went rigid. "What is wrong?" Tae-sung asked, sitting up straighter. Dr. Velthari's forearms moved across the terminal's controls with rapid, jerky movements. Her compound eyes seemed to expand. "This cannot be correct," she said, her translator struggling to keep up with her rapid speech pattern. The beeping got louder. Red lights began flashing on the terminal. What's going on? Tae-sung stood up from the table. Dr. Velthari spun toward him. Do not move. You may be experiencing severe toxic poisoning. What? I'm fine. The medical AI's voice filled the room. Warning. Blood sample flagged as Class 4 biohazard. Toxicology analysis shows critical levels of multiple harmful compounds. Sample has been quarantined. Quote, recommend immediate emergency detoxification protocol. Tae-sung stared at the terminal. There must be a mistake. The medical AI does not make mistakes, Dr. Velthari said. She moved to a cabinet and began pulling out emergency medical equipment. Your blood contains dangerous levels of methylxanthine compounds, ethanol metabolites, capsaicinoid residues, and over 47 different volatile organic toxins. The system has calculated the flash point of your blood to be within combustible range. Flash point? What are you talking about? Dr. Velthari's translator crackled. Your blood is nearly flammable. Nurse Kiksara, an amphibious being with smooth, blue-green skin, rushed into the medical bay. Doctor, I received the emergency alert. How can I assist? Prepare the detoxification chamber immediately, Dr. Velthari ordered. We have a critical poisoning case. I'm not poisoned, Tae-sung protested. I feel completely fine. You are in shock, Dr. Velthari said firmly. You do not realize the severity of your condition. These toxin levels would kill most species within hours. We must act now. Two more medical staff members rushed in. Before Tae-sung could protest further, gentle but firm hands guided him toward a large cylindrical chamber in the corner of the medical bay. The chamber looked like something between a shower stall and a science fiction sleep pod. Wait, just listen to me, Tae-sung said, his voice rising. I had coffee this morning, and I ate some spicy ramen for breakfast. That's probably what you're detecting. Tae-sung. Dr. Velthari froze. All four of her arms stopped moving. You consumed those substances intentionally? Yes. That's just breakfast. The doctor's antennae drooped. The methylxanthines are from this. Coffee? Yes. And the capsaicinoids are from the ramen? Yes, it's food. Normal human food. Dr. Velthari looked at her medical terminal, then back at Tae-sung, then at the terminal again. Her translator was silent for a long moment. Finally, she spoke. Humans consume natural insecticides and chemical defense compounds as food? I mean, when you put it that way, it sounds bad, Tae-sung said. And the ethanol metabolites? You also consume solvent chemicals? Tae-sung thought about the beer he had shared with Ji-won the night before. Sometimes. Socially. Dr. Velthari made a sound that the translator couldn't interpret. It might have been distress. I have never treated a human before. Our medical database lists human biology as similar to other carbon-based life forms. There was no warning about this. The medical terminal beeped again. This time, the AI's voice sounded almost confused. If that was possible. Additional analysis complete. Blood oxygen content. Elevated. Stomach acid pH, critically low. Immune system activity. Hyperactive. Recommendation. Update medical database with warning protocols for human species. XE, Nurse Kiksara looked at Tae-sung with her large, dark eyes. Are all humans like this? Pretty much. Tae-sung said. Dr. Velthari slowly lowered her medical instruments. I believe, she said carefully, that I need to consult with someone more familiar with human physiology before proceeding. That would be great, Tae-sung said. Can I sit down? My arm still hurts. Yes, of course. Please sit. Do not consume anything else. Tae-sung sat back down on the examination table, while Dr. Velthari frantically contacted the ship's human biologist. Around him, medical equipment continued to beep warnings about his toxic blood. He really should have warned them about the coffee. Ji-won was in the middle of analyzing soil samples from a distant moon when her communicator went off. She glanced at the screen and saw Taesung's name flashing with an urgent tag. "What now?" she muttered, setting down her sample tray. Taesung had a talent for getting into interesting situations. She tapped the communicator. "What's up, Ji-won? I need you to contact Hana right now. The medical bay thinks I'm dying of toxic poisoning because I had coffee and ramen for breakfast." Ji-won blinked. "What?" "Just get Hana to the medical bay, please. They're about to put me in a detox chamber." The connection cut off. Ji-won grabbed her jacket and ran. By the time she reached the medical bay, a small crowd had gathered. Dr. Velthari was speaking rapidly to her staff, all four of her arms gesturing at various medical displays. Taesung sat on an examination table, looking annoyed and slightly concerned. Medical restraints hung open next to him, apparently prepared, but not yet used. "What's going on?" Ji-won asked. Nurse Kiexara turned to her. "Are you human as well?" "Yes." The nurse's skin shifted to a lighter shade of blue-green, which Ji-won had learned meant surprise. "Do you also consume toxic substances regularly?" I had toast and jam for breakfast, if that's what you're asking." Dr. Velthari spun toward her. "Did this toast and jam contain processed sugars, grain proteins, or fruit-derived compounds?" "Yes, to all of those." The doctor made that untranslatable distress sound again. "I have contacted the human xenobiologist. She should arrive shortly. Until then, please do not consume anything else." Ji-won moved to stand next to Taesung. "They think you're poisoned?" "Apparently human blood is nearly flammable," Taesung said. "Who knew?" "I did not know," Dr. Velthari said, her translator crackling with stress. "The medical database has minimal information about human biology. It lists you as standard carbon-based lifeforms with slightly higher oxygen requirements. Nothing about toxic blood." The medical bay doors slid open again, and Hana rushed in. She was the oldest of the three humans on the ship, in her mid-40s, with gray streaks in her black hair, and the calm demeanor of someone who had seen everything. As the ship's xenobiologist, she specialized in studying how different species interacted with various environments. "I got here as fast as I could," Hana said. "What's the emergency?" Dr. Velthari pulled up the toxicology report on the main display. "This human's blood contains lethal levels of multiple toxic compounds, but he claims he consumed them intentionally, as food." Hana looked at the display. Her expression shifted from concern to understanding, to barely suppressed amusement. Oh, I see the problem. This is not amusing." Dr. Velthari's antennae vibrated with agitation. "I'm sorry, you're right." Hana composed herself. "Dr. Velthari, has anyone explained human dietary habits to you?" "No. Why would they need explanation? Nutritional requirements are straightforward for most species." Hana pulled up a chair. "Okay, let's start with coffee. Coffee contains caffeine, which is a methylxanthine alkaloid. On Earth, plants developed caffeine as a natural pesticide to kill insects that try to eat them." Dr. Velthari's compound eyes widened. "A pesticide, yes. But humans evolved to tolerate it. We actually enjoy the stimulant effects. Most humans consume it daily." "That is insane." "It gets better," Hana said. She pointed to another line on the toxicology report. "These capsaicinoids? They're from peppers. Peppers produce capsaicin as a chemical defense mechanism to stop mammals from eating them. It triggers pain receptors. So, humans consume something that causes pain? Some of us seek it out specifically." Ji-won added helpfully. "The spicier, the better." Dr. Velthari was silent for a long moment. Finally, she spoke. "And the ethanol metabolites?" "Alcohol," Hana said. "It's a recreational substance for humans. Also, a solvent and disinfectant. We ferment various plants and fruits to create it, then drink it socially. You drink disinfectant. Diluted disinfectant. Technically. The medical bay doors opened once more. Captain Rithkor entered, his reptilian scales gleaming green and gold under the lights. He was nearly 7 feet tall, with a commanding presence that made everyone stand a little straighter. "I was informed we have a medical emergency," the captain said, his voice deep and resonant. "Not exactly an emergency, sir," Hana said. "More of a cultural misunderstanding." Dr. Velthari turned to the captain. "Sir, the humans on this ship regularly consume substances that our medical database classifies as dangerous toxins. I believe this represents a significant oversight in our crew screening protocols." Captain Rithkor's tail swished slowly, a sign of thought. Hana spent the next 20 minutes going through human evolutionary biology. She explained how humans evolved on a planet where nearly everything was trying to kill them, from bacteria to parasites to the very plants they ate. In response, humans developed incredibly robust detoxification systems. "Our liver is basically a chemical processing plant," Hana said. "It can break down substances that would destroy most other species' organs. Our kidneys filter our blood constantly, removing toxins and waste products. Our stomach acid is strong enough to dissolve metal." Dr. Velthari pulled up a new scan. "I have been reviewing deeper medical data while you spoke. Human immune systems attack their own bodies regularly? The immune system is hyperactive, yes," Hana confirmed. "It's constantly fighting battles inside us. Sometimes it gets confused and attacks our own cells. That's why humans have so many autoimmune disorders." A new voice joined the conversation. Dr. Mulveen drifted into the medical bay, his crystalline body refracting light into rainbow patterns. He was a medical researcher who studied comparative biology across species. "Fascinating," Dr. Mulveen said, his voice like wind chimes. "I was listening to this discussion from my laboratory. I pulled additional data from Earth databases. Did you know that human bones continuously break down and rebuild themselves?" "They do?" Nurse Kiksara asked. "Yes. The human skeleton is in a constant state of controlled destruction and reconstruction. Also, human childbirth is one of the most dangerous reproductive processes in known space. The birth canal is barely large enough for the infant's head to fit through." "Why would evolution create such a system?" Dr. Velthari asked. "Because human brains are enormous," Hana said. "We needed big heads to hold those brains. But we also needed narrow hips for bipedal movement. Evolution compromised, and humans just deal with the dangerous results." Captain Rithkor made a rumbling sound deep in his chest. "So humans are essentially walking biological hazards who consume poisons for recreation and have bodies that constantly damage themselves. When you put it like that, it sounds bad," Taesung said. "But it's accurate?" the captain asked. "Pretty much, yeah." Dr. Velthari sat down heavily in a chair designed for her species. "I need to completely revise my understanding of human medicine. Everything I know about standard treatment protocols may not apply." "That's probably true," Hana said gently. "Human biology is unusual. We're very hard to kill, but we're also very complicated. Our bodies are constantly in a state of controlled chaos." Dr. Mulveen drifted closer to the medical displays. "The flashpoint calculation for human blood is particularly interesting. The combination of oxygen content, alcohol metabolites, and various organic compounds does create a theoretically combustible mixture." "So I really am nearly flammable?" Taesung asked. "In the right conditions, yes. Though igniting would require very specific circumstances. You would likely notice other problems first, such as being on fire externally." "That's comforting." Captain Rithkor's scales shifted to a darker green, indicating concern. "Dr. Velthari, do you have what you need to properly treat our human crew members now?" "I will need to study extensively," the doctor said. "But yes, with Hana's help, I believe I can develop appropriate protocols." "Good. I will file a report with Coalition Medical Command, recommending they update their human biology databases. This oversight could have led to serious treatment errors." As the captain left, Dr. Velthari turned to Tae-sung. I apologize for the alarm. Your burn has been treated. You are free to go. Thanks, Tae-sung said, hopping off the table. However, the doctor continued. I must ask that you log all substances you consume in your medical file from now on. I need to understand what is normal for humans versus what is actually dangerous. I can do that. As the three humans left the medical bay, Ji-won nudged Tae-sung. Nearly flammable. That's going on your tombstone. Please don't. Behind them, Dr. Velthari was already pulling up educational databases about Earth biology. She had a lot to learn about humans, and she was starting to suspect that humans had a lot more surprises waiting to be discovered. The news about human blood being nearly flammable spread through the ship faster than Tae-sung expected. By the next morning, he noticed crew members giving him slightly wider berth in the corridors. The Pixin especially seemed nervous, their fur puffing up whenever he walked past. But the real problem started 3 days later. Tae-sung was in his quarters, trying to make breakfast, when his food synthesizer refused to work. The machine kept beeping error messages at him. Request denied. Requested substance flagged as toxic compound. Please select alternative nutrition. He tried again. Same result. Frustrated, he tapped his communicator. G1. Is your food synthesizer working? A groan came through the speaker. No. I've been trying to get coffee for 20 minutes. The system won't make it. Says it's a banned substance now. You have got to be kidding me. Tae-sung grabbed his jacket and headed to the mess hall. When he arrived, he found G1 and several alien crew members standing around looking confused. The main food synthesis terminal had a large red warning displayed across its screen. Safety lockout engaged. Multiple toxic compounds detected in recent human food requests. System administrator access. Required to override. Chef Pralik was there, his blob-like body jiggling with distress. He was a Gellan, a species that absorbed nutrients through their skin and found the concept of eating through mouths rather disturbing. Despite this, he had trained as a nutritionist to help other species maintain proper diets. I am so sorry, Pralik burbled, his translator working overtime. The medical department flagged all the substances you humans have been consuming. The safety systems automatically locked them out. Can't you unlock it? Ji-won asked. I tried. The system requires authorization from both medical and command staff. It is treating your food as industrial chemicals. Tae-sung felt his stomach growl. He had not eaten since yesterday afternoon, and he could feel the beginning of a caffeine withdrawal headache forming behind his eyes. A door at the back of the mess hall opened, and Dong-hyun emerged. He was the ship's cargo specialist. A quiet man in his 30s, who kept mostly to himself. He took one look at the locked food synthesizer, and his expression went carefully neutral. Problem? Dong-hyun asked. We can't get food, Ji-won said. The system thinks we're trying to synthesize poison. Ah. Dong-hyun glanced around the mess hall, then gestured subtly toward the door he had come from. Follow me. Quietly, the three humans slipped through the door into a maintenance corridor. Dong-hyun led them down 2 levels to a cargo bay that was supposed to be storing spare parts. Instead, Tae-sung saw something that looked like a very unauthorized market. Stacked along the walls were containers labeled with various ship systems. Coolant overflow. Botanical waste. Fermentation byproduct. And chemical recycling output. Dong-hyun opened one of the containers. Inside were rows of bottles filled with amber liquid. Is that beer? Ji-won asked. Technically, it is waste product from the ship's organic recycling system, Dong-hyun said. But yes, it is also beer. The bacteria they use for breaking down organic matter happen to be very good at fermentation. He opened another container. This one held dark brown powder and small packages wrapped in protective film. Coffee and chocolate, Dong-hyun said. Made from the botanical pest deterrents they use in the hydroponics bay. Turns out the Thorians hate caffeine and theobromine because it poisons them. For us, it is breakfast. Tae-sung stared. How long have you been running this operation? Since week 2 of the voyage, I noticed quickly that the standard food synthesizers were not going to meet human nutritional needs. So I started trading with other species for their unwanted chemical waste. What is poison to them is food to us. That is either genius or insane, Ji-won said. Possibly both. Dong-hyun pulled out a small bottle from his jacket. The Scar use an industrial degreaser in their engine maintenance. Contains various alcohols and organic compounds. I have been adding small amounts to my water rations. Helps with the taste. They're 40. Justable daughter man. You have been drinking degreaser? Humans used to drink much worse on Earth. Our ancestors fermented anything they could find. This is actually pretty clean. As far as questionable beverages go, Tae-sung's headache was getting worse. Can I have some of that coffee? Take what you need. But we have a bigger problem now. Dong-hyun sealed the containers. If medical has flagged our normal food as toxic, they will eventually search for unauthorized substances. They might find this. The door to the cargo bay suddenly opened. All 3 humans froze. Counselor Irix floated in, her translucent telepathic form shimmering slightly. She was one of the Mindari, a species that communicated through thought rather than words. She took one look at the hidden food supplies, and her form flickered with colors that suggested amusement. A voice appeared directly in their minds, calm and understanding. I wondered how you 3 were surviving. The ship's waste logs showed unusual patterns. Are you going to report us? Dong-hyun asked carefully. Report you for eating? No. But we do need to solve this problem properly. Irix's form pulsed thoughtfully. I will speak with Captain Rithkor and Dr. Velthari. This situation is not sustainable. 2 hours later, Tae-sung found himself in a meeting room with what felt like half the ship's command staff. Captain Rithkor sat at the head of the table. Dr. Velthari was present with several medical staff members. Counselor Irix floated near the ceiling. Chef Pralik jiggled nervously in his specialized chair. Hana was there too, looking tired. She had apparently been up all night helping Dr. Velthari research human nutritional needs. Let me make sure I understand the situation, Captain Rithkor said, his tail swishing slowly. The safety systems locked out human food synthesis because the medical department flagged those substances as toxic. Meanwhile, the humans have been supplementing their diets with actual industrial waste products, because those waste products happen to contain compounds humans can safely consume. That is correct, sir, Dong-hyun said. And these compounds are necessary for human health? Not optional? Hana spoke up. Humans need a varied diet that includes many substances other species avoid. Caffeine, while not strictly necessary, helps with alertness and mood. Many humans develop dependency on it. Sudden withdrawal can cause headaches, fatigue, and irritability. Tae-sung felt his headache as if on cue. Humans also need capsaicin? Dr. Velthari asked. No, but we enjoy it. However, we do need certain compounds found in what you consider defended plants. Our digestive systems expect dietary variety, including foods with complex organic molecules. Dr. Mulveen's crystalline form chimed in from a corner of the room. I have been studying this issue. Human gut bacteria alone are remarkable. They number in the trillions and help break down substances the human body cannot process on its own. These bacteria require specific foods to survive. Without them, humans experience digestive problems. So we cannot simply give them basic nutrition paste like we do for some species, Captain Rithkor said. Correct. Humans need actual food diversity. And that food includes things our safety systems categorize as hazardous materials. The captain was quiet for a moment, his scales shifting through different shades of green. Finally, he spoke. Recommendations? Chef Pralik burbled forward. I propose we create a separate synthesis system for human food, isolated from the main system. It would have different safety protocols that account for human biology. That will take time to implement, Dr. Velthari said. What do we do in the meantime? In the meantime, Counselor Irix's voice appeared in everyone's minds. Perhaps we could officially reclassify Donghyun's supply collection as an authorized human nutrition program rather than an unauthorized smuggling operation. Donghyun looked relieved. Agreed, the captain said. Donghyun, you will work with Chef Prolik to maintain proper human food supplies until we can create a better system. Dr. Velthari, I want you to create a comprehensive database of human nutritional needs so this does not happen again. The 40 mine. 100 and Riekler. Yes, sir. And someone please get our human crew members some coffee before they start showing withdrawal symptoms. I do not want to deal with irritable humans. Too late for that, sir. Tae-sung muttered. Then louder. Sorry, sir. Headache. As the meeting ended, Ji-won leaned over to Tae-sung. Did we just get official permission to drink waste recycling products? I think so. Humans are weird. Yeah. But at least we can be weird with coffee now. Dr. Velthari approached them as they stood to leave. I have been thinking about your biology, she said. Your ability to process toxins that harm other species. It is actually quite remarkable. 1. Inridi. Thanks? I mean it. I initially saw it as a hazard, but now I wonder if it might be useful. There are substances in the galaxy that we cannot handle safely. But perhaps humans could. Like what? Hana asked. I do not know yet. But I intend to find out, as the humans left to finally get some proper food. None of them realized that Dr. Velthari's curiosity would soon become very important. Elsewhere in the galaxy, a colony ship was about to face a crisis that only human biology could solve. But for now, Tae-sung just wanted his coffee. Everything else could wait. The distress call came in during the night shift, 3 weeks after the food synthesizer incident. Tae-sung was asleep when the emergency alert pulled him from his dreams. He stumbled out of bed and pulled on his uniform as the ship's announcement system crackled to life. All senior staff report to the bridge immediately. We have received a priority distress signal. The bridge was already crowded when Tae-sung arrived. Captain Rithkor stood at the center, studying a holographic display. The image showed another ship, larger than the Times Harmony's Promise asterisk, with running lights flickering weakly. That is the Times Morning Dawn asterisk, the captain said. A colony transport carrying over 3,000 beings. Mostly Aquari. The Aquari were a fragile aquatic species, Tae-sung knew. They needed very specific environmental conditions to survive. With precisely balanced water chemistry and temperature, Dr. Velthari was already on the bridge, along with Ji-won and Hana. Dr. Mulveen's crystalline form refracted light near the science station. What is their emergency? Dr. Velthari asked. Fungal outbreak, Captain Rithkor said. It started in their water recycling systems and spread to the crew. The Aquari are dying. They have lost 47 crew members already, and over 200 are infected. The display shifted to show microscopic images of the fungus. It was a nasty-looking organism with barbed tendrils that seemed to dig into tissue. Dr. Velthari examined the images. I know this species of fungus. It is native to certain warm, wet environments. Very aggressive. Very difficult to kill. Can they not treat it? Ji-won asked. There is a treatment, Doctor, Mulveen chimed in. But there is a problem. The antifungal compound required is extremely toxic to Aquari physiology. It would kill the fungus, but also poison the patients. So they are trapped, Hana said quietly. They die from the fungus, or die from the cure. Captain Rithkor's tail lashed. We are the closest coalition ship. We are diverting to rendezvous with them. Arrival time is 6 hours. I want solutions, people. The next hours were tense. The medical staff pulled up everything they could find about the fungus and the Aquari species. The problem was clear. The antifungal compound worked by using heavy metals and organic toxins to destroy fungal cells. But those same metals and toxins would accumulate in Aquari tissue, causing organ failure. If only we could deliver the antifungal directly to the fungus without it spreading through their bodies, Dr. Velthari said. A filtration system? Nurse Keeks, Ara suggested. We would need something that could absorb the toxins from their bloodstream while still allowing enough concentration to kill the fungus. I do not know of any species with blood chemistry capable of that. Hana looked up from her research terminal. She had a strange expression on her face. Actually, I might know one. Everyone turned to look at her. Human blood, Hana said slowly. Our red blood cells are remarkably good at binding to and transporting various compounds. And our bodies are designed to filter out toxins quickly. What if we used human blood cells as biological filters? Dr. Velthari's antennae twitched. Explain. We modify human blood cells to enhance their absorption properties. Then introduce them into the Aquari patient's bloodstream along with the antifungal compound. The human cells would soak up excess toxins before they could damage Aquari organs. Meanwhile, enough antifungal would get through to kill the fungus. Dr. Mulveen's form brightened with excitement. That could work. Human blood cells are already adapted to handle toxic loads. We would essentially be using human biology as a living toxin filter. But it would require human donors, Dr. Velthari said, looking at the 3 humans on the bridge. And the process would be difficult. You would need to intake concentrated toxins to train your systems. Tae-sung spoke up. How concentrated are we talking? Levels that would be used in chemical warfare against other species. And this would save the Aquari? It is their only chance. Tae-sung looked at Ji-won and Hana. They both nodded. We are in, Tae-sung said. You understand the risks? Captain Rithkor asked. We understand. When do we start? 4 hours later, Tae-sung was regretting his heroic gesture. He sat in the medical bay with Ji-won and Dong-hyun, who had also volunteered. In front of each of them was a series of vials containing increasingly dark liquids. These are concentrated extracts. Dr. Velthari explained. The first vial contains moderate levels of the compounds found in the antifungal treatment. Each subsequent vial is stronger. You must consume them slowly, so your bodies can adapt. Adapt to poison, Ji-won said. Right. No problem. An emergency shuttle had arrived an hour earlier, bringing Bit-na, another human who worked on a nearby station as a medical technician. She had experience with extreme toxin exposure from working in hazardous environments. I have done something like this before, Bit-na said, rolling up her sleeves. During decontamination training on Titan. Not fun, but survivable. Comforting. Tae-sung muttered. He picked up the first vial and drank it. The taste was indescribably awful. Like battery acid mixed with rotten metal. His body immediately tried to reject it, but he forced himself to keep it down. Next to him, Dong-hyun had gone slightly green. Much worse, Bit-na agreed, finishing her first vial with a grimace. Over the next hour, they worked through the vials. Medical monitors tracked their vital signs as their bodies processed the toxins. Tae-sung could feel his liver working overtime, a strange warmth spreading through his abdomen as his organs filtered the compounds. Your filtration rates are incredible, Dr. Mulveen observed, watching the readouts. You are processing toxins faster than I can measure them. 8. By the 3rd vial, Tae-sung felt sick. By the 5th, he was sweating and shaking. But the monitors showed his body was adapting, his cells learning to handle the increasingly concentrated poisons. Dr. Velthari watched with a mix of horror and fascination. How are you not dead? Stubbornness? Tae-sung suggested weakly. Your biology is stubbornness, given physical form, the doctor said. The Times Morning Dawn Times came into view on the medical bay's display screen. It was a massive vessel, designed to carry entire colony populations. But its lights flickered weakly, and several sections showed signs of emergency protocols. An Aquari doctor appeared on the communication screen. Dr. Yule was a gelliform being, mostly transparent with bioluminescent organs visible inside her body. Those organs were currently pulsing with distressed colors. Thank you for coming, Dr. Yule said, her voice bubbling through the translator. We are losing people. Every hour. We have a possible treatment, Dr. Velthari said. But it is experimental. It uses human biology. Anything, please. We are desperate. The humans finished their toxin training. Blood was drawn from each of them, and the medical team began the delicate work of modifying the cells. The process took 3 more hours. Taesung tried to rest, but his body was still processing the poisons he had consumed. He felt like he had the worst hangover of his life. Finally, Dr. Velthari announced they were ready. The first Aquari patient was brought to the medical bay through a secure water-filled transport tube. The patient was barely conscious. Fungal growth visible through her translucent skin. The modified human blood cells were introduced along with carefully measured doses of the antifungal compound. Everyone watched the monitors tensely. For 10 minutes, nothing seemed to happen. Then, the human cells began doing their job. They absorbed the excess toxins from the Aquari's system, clustering around fungal infections and allowing the antifungal to work without poisoning healthy tissue. The fungal growth began to recede. It is working, Dr. Mulveen said, his voice full of wonder. Over the next 12 hours, they treated patient after patient. The 4 human donors gave blood repeatedly, their bodies constantly producing new cells to replace what was taken. Taesung lost count of how many times he had been hooked up to the blood draw machine. He was exhausted. They all were. But every time a monitor showed an Aquari patient recovering, it felt worth it. Dr. Yule appeared on the screen again. This time, her bioluminescent organs glowed with colors that suggested joy and relief. You have saved over 200 lives. I do not know how to thank you. Just doing what we can, Hana said tiredly. After the last patient was treated, Taesung collapsed into a medical bed. His body ached. His head pounded. He was pretty sure his liver was going to file a formal complaint, but they had done it. They had turned human biology, their ability to survive poisons, into something that saved lives. Dr. Velthari sat down next to his bed. You humans are remarkable. Terrifying, but remarkable. Thanks, I think. I am writing a detailed report for the Coalition Medical Database. This procedure could revolutionize treatment for species with fragile biochemistry. Just remember to mention how much it hurt, Taesung said. I will include a warning about the suffering involved, yes. As Taesung drifted toward sleep, he heard Ji-won talking to Bitna across the medical bay. Do you think the coalition is ready for humans? Ji-won asked. Probably not, Bitna said. But I think we are going to surprise them. Taesung smiled. Humanity had spent so long being the newcomers, the species trying to prove themselves worthy of joining the galactic community. Maybe being walking chemical factories was not such a bad thing after all. The summons to the Coalition Council came 2 weeks after the Times Morning Dawn Times rescue. Taesung was back in the engine room, trying to catch up on maintenance he had missed, when Captain Rithkor called him to the bridge. We are approaching Diplomatic Station Zenith, the captain said. The Coalition Council has called an emergency session. We are required to attend. About what? Taesung asked, though he had a sinking feeling he already knew. About humans. The other humans on the ship gathered in the briefing room. Hana, Ji-won, Dong-hyun, and Bit-na, who had remained aboard to help monitor the long-term effects of the treatment protocol. They all looked nervous. Is this bad? Ji-won asked. I do not know, Captain Rithkor admitted. The Council has frozen humanity's application for full coalition membership, pending a review of your biological capabilities. Ambassador Insu is being brought in to represent Earth's interests. They are scared of us, Hana said quietly. Can you blame them? Dr. Velthari had entered the room, her antennae drooping. I wrote an honest report about human biology and the treatment we developed. The Council now knows that humans can survive toxin loads that would eliminate entire populations of other species. From their perspective, you are potential weapons. Diplomatic Station Zenith was enormous, a gleaming structure that served as neutral ground for coalition business. The Times Harmony's Promise Times docked smoothly, and the crew was escorted to the council chambers. The chamber was a massive circular room with seating arranged in rising tiers. Representatives from hundreds of species filled the seats. At the center was a raised platform where speakers could address the assembly. High Chancellor Mordeth presided over the session. She was ancient, from a species that lived for thousands of years, with skin like bark and eyes that glowed softly green. Her presence commanded immediate respect. Tae Sung and the other humans sat in a designated area with Captain Rithkor and Dr. Velthari. Across the chamber, he could see Ambassador Insu, a dignified woman in her 60s wearing formal Earth diplomatic attire. The session began with Dr. Threnke, the Coalition's chief medical advisor, presenting findings about human biology. The gaseous being projected data across holographic displays for all to see. Humans possess unprecedented toxin resistance, Dr. Threnke said, their voice echoing through specialized speakers. Their blood chemistry is volatile, their metabolic process is aggressive, and their immune systems hyperactive. They regularly consume substances classified as chemical weapons by 17 different coalition species. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Furthermore, Dr. Threnke continued, humans have now demonstrated the ability to weaponize this biology. The recent rescue of the Times Morning Dawn Times showed that human blood can be modified to neutralize toxins that other species cannot approach safely. A representative from the Thorian collective stood. The insectoid being's wings buzzed with agitation. This proves humans are dangerous. They are biological weapons walking among us. How can we allow such beings into the coalition? Another voice. This one. From a crystalline species, similar to Dr. Mulveen, spoke up. The humans saved lives with their abilities. They did not attack anyone. They used their biology to help. Today they help. Tomorrow they might decide not to. The debate grew heated. Tae Sung watched as species argued back and forth. Some saw humans as threats. Others saw potential. Many were simply afraid of something they did not understand. High Chancellor Mordeth raised one ancient hand, and silence fell immediately. We will hear from those directly involved, she said. Dr. Velthari, please approach. Dr. Velthari moved to the central platform. Her forearms trembled slightly, but her voice was steady. I was the first doctor to examine human blood toxicology, she began. I believed I was witnessing a medical emergency. I nearly administered treatments that could have killed my patient because I did not understand human biology. She displayed the original toxicology report with all its red warnings and hazard flags. I was terrified of humans at first. They consume poisons. Their blood is nearly combustible. Their bodies constantly attack themselves. Everything about them seemed wrong and dangerous. She paused, her compound eyes sweeping across the chamber. But I learned something important. Humans did not develop these abilities to be weapons. They developed them to survive on a planet that was actively trying to kill them. Every toxic compound they can process, every poison they can survive, represents a challenge their ancestors overcame through adaptation rather than technology. Dr. Velthari brought up images from the Times Morning Dawn Times rescue. When faced with a crisis, humans did not use their abilities to harm. They volunteered to suffer, to intake even more toxins than normal, so they could save lives. They turned what makes them frightening into something beautiful. The chamber was silent as she returned to her seat. High Chancellor Mordeth gestured. The human ambassador walked to the platform with calm confidence. She bowed respectfully to the Chancellor and then addressed the assembly. I understand your fear, Insu said. Humans are different. We are rough survivors from a dangerous world. We eat things that poison you. We breathe higher oxygen levels than most species find comfortable. We are loud and messy and complicated. She smiled softly, but we did not ask to be this way. Evolution shaped us through millions of years of struggle. We learned to survive by being adaptable, resilient, and yes, sometimes by being able to eat or drink things that would kill others. Insu walked slowly around the platform, making eye contact with different representatives. You call us weapons. But weapons are made with intent to harm. We are simply life that adapted to survive. Every species in this chamber has abilities that could be used to harm others. The Scar have natural armor and strength. The Mindari can read thoughts. The Thren have reflexes, faster than most beings can track. But we do not call you weapons because we judge you by your choices, not your capabilities. She stopped and faced High Chancellor Mordeth directly. Judge us by our choices. We came to space seeking friendship and knowledge. When we discovered other life, we did not conquer. We asked to learn. When presented with a medical crisis, we did not demand payment or political advantage. We simply helped because it was right. The chamber erupted in discussion. Tae-sung could hear dozens of languages being translated simultaneously. Dr. Threnke approached the platform again. I have additional information to present, the gaseous doctor said. While preparing for this session, I conducted broader research into potential applications of human biology. New data appeared on the displays. Human gut bacteria could revolutionize waste processing for 17 species. Human enzymes show promise for detoxifying polluted environments. Human blood filtration techniques could improve life support systems across the fleet. The medical applications alone could save thousands of lives annually. Dr. Threnke's form shifted colors in what might have been embarrassment. I came here prepared to argue for restricting human integration, but the evidence suggests that humanity's unique biology, while unusual and sometimes frightening, represents a valuable resource for the entire coalition. High Chancellor Mordeth stood, her ancient form straightening slowly. The chamber fell silent. I have heard the evidence and arguments, she said. I have reviewed the reports, and I have made a decision. Tae-sung held his breath. Humanity's application for coalition membership is approved. However, they will be granted a unique designation: Biological Adaptation Specialists. Humans will be integrated into medical, environmental, and emergency response teams where their unique capabilities can benefit the broader community. Relief flooded through Tae-sung. Around him, the other humans were smiling. Furthermore, the Chancellor continued, I am ordering a complete review of all coalition biological databases. We clearly have much to learn about the diversity of life in our galaxy. Ignorance nearly caused harm in this case. We will not let it happen again. The session ended with formal votes and bureaucratic procedures. But the important part was done. Humanity was in. As they left the chamber, Ambassador Insu approached their group. Well done, she said to Dr. Velthari. Your testimony was crucial. I simply told the truth, the doctor said. Humans are terrifying, but they are also our friends. 6 months later, Tae-sung stood in a classroom on Earth, watching the first group of students enter the new Human Emergency Response Academy. Young people from a dozen different countries had volunteered to train for service in the Coalition's crisis response teams. The curriculum covered everything from toxin tolerance training to xenobiology to diplomatic protocols. These students would learn to use humanity's unique biology to help others across the galaxy. Hana was one of the instructors, teaching xenobiology. Ji-won had joined an environmental restoration project, using human bacteria to help clean up polluted worlds. Bitna ran training programs for human medical technicians, deploying to alien hospitals. Dong-hyun, surprisingly, had become the coalition's expert on cross-species nutrition, officially managing the collection and preparation of foods that were waste to some species but nutrition to others. Tae-sung had returned to engineering, but he also consulted on biohazard situations. His nearly flammable blood had become something of a legend in certain circles. Dr. Velthari had remained on the Times Harmony's Promise asterisk, but she now had a special section in her medical bay, a locked containment area labeled Human Nutrition Storage. Inside were coffee, hot sauce, alcohol, chocolate, and various other substances that still made her antennae twitch nervously. But she kept Tae-sung's original blood sample on her desk, in a small, sealed container, as a reminder. A reminder that sometimes the most dangerous-looking thing could also be the most helpful. That differences were not automatically threats, and that the galaxy was big enough for all kinds of life, even the kind that was nearly flammable. Tae-sung smiled as he watched the new students, humanity's future in the stars. They would face challenges and prejudices, but they would also prove what he and his crewmates had proven. Humans were not weapons. They were not hazards. They were survivors. And in a vast, dangerous universe that made them exactly what the galaxy needed.